and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Huber.
Yo!
Michael Damiani.
Yo!
And my 20 terabyte co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Okay, hello.
You're deep, Blood. There's a lot going on there. More than meets the eye. Distinguished guests, we are here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must first answer for all of the mistakes that we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, begin corrections music, please. Boop. I was also in the Town and Gown episode of Fiasconauts. It's one of those things about Fiasconauts. You forget which ones you were in. That was myself, Ian, and Kyle. Ogby Joanne is how Kyle's character's name was pronounced in his episode of Fiasconauts that character was in. Tell Me Why's Don't Nod's second most recent game, Twin Mirror, is the last one that they've developed. Sony announced PS Plus would be required for online multiplayer. Not very discreetly. They announced lots of other exciting things, but that was at E3 2013, not the PS4 reveal.
I think we knew that, but maybe we just said it wrong.
Might have been a little muddy.
Yeah.
And the 100 million Xbox active users are not specifically gold subs. They're just Xbox customers. They are people involved in the ecosystem of the Xbox. And this is more of a clarification. I just want to pat ourselves in the back. People were very impressed by our analysis of the GameStop stock situation last week. They were, I believe, essential was one of the things that I heard brought up a lot. So, end corrections music, please. Proud of all of us.
Is that sarcasm or is that real?
Honestly, there are comments on both sides of that.
Huber,
opinion, so.
not on the stock issue specifically. It was mostly positive.
Best left
Huber,
unknown.
You really just got to tune in to the last episode to really
that stock stuff, dude. I'm still confused.
Before we get into other major headlines we are drastically unqualified to discuss, let's start this on the right note with some good news. Something in video games that we can be proud of, a silver lining for this last week from Cabbage Lad. This week I realized that Season 2 of Dead Pixels aired. What is Dead Pixels, you ask? It's a British sitcom that focuses on the obsession of three friends, Meg, Nikki, and Usman, for a fictional MMO called Kingdom Scrolls. The first season was rocky, but the second season's really come into its own, with references to Drake making the game viral, to one of my favorite jokes referencing Jonathan Blow. The writing is super sharp, witty, and clearly made by people who really get the experience of playing a video game and the culture surrounding it. I highly recommend it. With just 6 20-minute episodes a season, it's easy breezy. In the UK, it's available on all 4, and in the States, I'm told it's on the CW, Fubo TV, and AT&T Now. Don't skip. Always good for... Not like you need more shows to watch.
I like those short commitments though, Jones. You know, that seems like just a quick get in, get out type.
Yeah. It's like we argued whether WandaVision was 6 or 9 episodes the other day. Please tell me it's 6. Please tell me I'm almost done. New WandaVision tonight.
The great WandaVision debate.
Tonight for us, not tonight for listeners. Total War Warhammer 3 was announced this week with a CG trailer. Huber, my favorite way to announce a trailer. This is a very cinematic franchise, so it does not surprise me that it's a very cinematic trailer. One that definitely helped, reading headlines that are filling in what units I'm seeing, what worlds I'm seeing. There's a lot of clashing, just like Dungeons & Dragons. There's lots of different worlds of Warhammer. This is not just another sequel. It's the, quote, from Sega, epic culmination of the Total War Warhammer trilogy.
Nice. Culmination. It feels like Warhammer's always culminating. How prolific this franchise is.
Oh, yes. Which is why I'm bringing it up. None of us are that familiar with Total War or Warhammer, so I'm not bringing that up to specifically get into details about what we saw in that trailer. But I do want to talk about Warhammer a little bit. Damiani's got an angle that he'd like to float before we're done with the topic. They're returning to the classic old world setting after focusing on Age of Sigmar, which is, again, one of those worlds. And it was fascinating when I saw this announcement because it's like, wow, you know, on one end, it's almost kind of like a joke how many Warhammer games are happening, but it's like, good for Warhammer. Like, I did some research. According to Games Workshop's website, there are 22 different Warhammer franchises.
Oh, wow.
They're just games, man. Different lines of Warhammer games splintering off in different directions. The following Warhammer games are all in development and all scheduled to launch in 2021. There is, of course, Total War Warhammer 3, which is just coming out on PC. Total War Battles Warhammer, which will be on mobile. Again, Sega, but and Creative Assembly, which is working on Warhammer 3, but NetEase is also helping with the development there. Blood Bowl 3, which not a lot of people regularly associate with Warhammer, from Nacon and Cyanide Studio on a bunch of different platforms this year. Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormground from Focus Home Interactive and Gasket Games will be this year. Also, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Tempest Fall, which is a VR game from Carbon Studio. That'll be this year. Another mobile game, Warhammer 40k Lost Crusade, and then, of course, the other one we could probably guess, Warhammer 40k Darktide from Fat Shark. PC and Xbox Series X exclusive, also in 2021. So, yay, nice. Warhammer. It's just, that franchise
huge franchise.
You got to be.
I've only played just a handful. Warhammer Online when it launched back in the day. I absolutely loved that MMO. Just something about the orcs in the Warhammer universe are like some of my all-time favorites. Just their whole vibe and their look. And then one of my favorite swimming in sevens, Jones. You're talking about how many franchises there are within this. The Space Marine,
right?
Warhammer 40k Space Marine, one of my favorites. And then of course Vermintide. But yeah, just mind-blowing how many different genres and places this franchise goes.
Wasn't the Warhammer MMO wasn't it like they were constantly at war, so like how much you were able to do in a region was dependent on whether you were winning?
Yeah, there was this like ongoing type.
Yeah, I mean the thing to me, and I know Ben's not on this week, but he's really excited whenever the Total War games come up for these last 3 Warhammer games. But it's impressive to me just like how prolific Creative Assembly has been while still maintaining like such a high bar of quality. Like these last 2 games, like I looked at their Metacritic scores and like they were like 87, 86, so well received and well liked among that fan base, even though I'm pretty close to clueless on Warhammer despite having seen it in magazines since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean that's a great point, Blood, because the Creative Assembly, I think, has just been like knocking out of the park with not just Total War, the Warhammer adaptations, but just the Total War series in general. And the thing, obviously, not like I'm like you, I don't really follow Total War, the Warhammer series, but this made me ponder about the recent rumor that Microsoft is in the market to buy another big studio who is on par with Bethesda. And a lot of people have been speculating that might actually be Sega, because Sega recently split its the gaming divisions. It put PC and console games into a new division away from its pachinko, which might theoretically make it easier for a company to come in and buy them. And Creative Assembly seems to be a perfect fit for something like Microsoft's portfolio. Never mind like being able to get like Yakuza, like
Alien Isolation 2, baby.
Yes, Alien Isolation. I mean, not to mention like the Japanese angle with like Sonic, Persona from Atlas, but Creative Assembly I think is another one of those huge value propositions for them, and it just seems like it's making a lot of sense potentially if that comes true. But yeah, Creative Assembly just has proven themselves. I think that adds a lot of value to a deal like that. And if not, it's just for Sega, it's one of the studios I think that goes unsung when you think of like Sega. You don't go to Creative Assembly right away.
Well, and I think even in terms of the communications, I think I get stuff about Creative Assembly from a different PR team. Like, I think like Sega of Europe's PR team is basically handling all of that, while Sega of America is doing Yakuza and Atlas and Sonic stuff. So yeah, it is weirdly split how they handle and market everything. But at the same time, I think it might be smart because they are hitting it out of the park with their audience. So.
It's just again one of those things that you're either in or you're out. I feel it's like you're either
sure.
The one thing that I am proud to learn. I remember when we were talking about we did the World of Warcraft retrospective was like how derivative Warcraft is something that I love and I think really holds its own and has its own deep lore, but is like clearly borrowing a lot of themes like from Warhammer. It was something that they were like, oh, let's do Warhammer thing. Oh, we can't do Warhammer. We'll do Warcraft. Still kicks its own amount of ass, still is very metal, lots of big shoulder pads, both in both franchises, but they do their own different things. Huber, we recently talked about Tencent. It's nice to have you back in the podcast to talk about this, because another company that likes to acquire a lot of things, and I think has a better name than Tencent when it comes to a company that wants to do that, is the Embracer Group. Just likes to kind of just scoop them up, they want to have the industry in a big
name, right?
bear hug. Yeah, it's like, don't worry about us dropping a couple bill here and there. We're the Embracer Group. It rolls off the tongue a little easier than THQ Nordic AB, which is what they were previously known as.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, this THQ Nordic is coming out and buying a couple, companies. It's going to be interesting to see what they do and if they, hold on to some of these franchises, if they repurpose them. But they are spending quite a bit. They just recently bought Easy Brain, which they'll become Easy Brain will now become the third largest shareholder in Embracer overall. They also they acquired Easy Brain, which is a mobile game developer, for $640 million. They also acquired Aspyr through technically Saber Interactive acquired Aspyr, but Saber Interactive is owned by the Embracer Group for $100 million. And Aspyr's been working on stuff owned by 2K Games, which is hilarious because 2K Games has also been working a lot with Gearbox. And Embracer bought Gearbox for $1.378 billion. So that's almost $2 billion that they dropped on these three companies.
Man.
Yeah. When you talk about 1.3 bill, Huber, it's like, what's 100 mil? It's like 100 mil.
I know, right? Not a drop in the bucket, but like when you're dealing with billions.
But I think, I don't know the details, so I don't want to get like a half correction, but I think that there was like something about it where it's like the way the deal is like it's not all cash. There's like a part of it's cash and a part of it's something else that adds up to the 1.3 billion somehow.
It's like it's like time off for best behavior. It's like they were going to get a minimum amount of a certain amount of money, and then depending on performance, that number will go up. I think that is the safest way I can explain that without getting a correction. Don't give me specifics. That's not what we're here to talk about.
I saw the Randy Pitchford quote describing it like a rocket booster for Gearbox.
Randy
That's what he said, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Oh, funny.
It does make me wonder, though, because as you mentioned, 2K, like,
yes,
does 2K
they clarified
Borderlands?
Yes, they clarified this actually.
Okay.
So I looked into this. In the press conference, Embracer stated that they'll still be working with 2K Games regarding Borderlands. 2K Games already released a statement saying that they will remain the publisher and that the merger doesn't change their business relationship with Gearbox. And I guess 2K asserts they're the IP owners of Borderlands. Apparently that's not changing the situation with Borderlands whatsoever right now.
Right.
And Embracer Group also said, yes, that is true. That is how it will remain right now. But everyone's just buying up everyone. It feels like we're in the era of acquisitions, man.
Gold rush, yeah.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable.
Me too.
I really would prefer more studios to be more independent, and so it's funny because it's like it makes you start wondering, like, okay, who's left, right?
Yeah, and competition.
Bungie, I guess, is independent right now, but
I guess there's
Codemasters deal has been going through, so that's about to finalize.
Yep.
And I don't update on a lot of that stuff on this podcast just because it's like that stuff goes through lots of different procedures and approvals from different companies and stuff.
Yeah.
So none of that is final.
But the Codemasters board just approved the sale, so yeah.
Yeah, how long these will take. I guess there's a silver lining to this. I mean, it's funny we went from a Sega story and now to a Gearbox story, given they have a little bit of an unpleasant history with aliens, colonial marines.
Well, yeah.
And Randy, I mean, they're not related here, but like Randy Pitchford has been in like hot water more than a few times. And there's a bit of a dark cloud hanging over Gearbox. So the silver lining is maybe this acquisition will... Pitchford will have to answer to someone above him. So maybe some of that stuff gets like... put in, like, things are put back in line and becomes a more amicable working situation there at Gearbox.
Well, that's what I want to talk about or what I think is fascinating about this, because whenever you have an acquisition, you get to know really the value of a company or the perceived value of a company, whether it just be them or the people that want to acquire them. 2019, Gearbox earned $125 million in revenue. They have a 550 person team. As we mentioned, they've been working with 2K a lot on the Borderlands franchise. But Damiani, you brought up something else. Obviously, Borderlands is massive. That's always successful. They got a movie coming out, which we talked about last week. But at the same time, these are the people that made Aliens: Colonial Marines. These are the people that made Battleborn.
Yep.
Battleborn just ended. Yeah.
They also have pour one out for Battleborn. They also have a strictly publishing division, and they've published 4 games so far, and 3 of these games, the one that they published that's done well is Risk of Rain 2. It's reviewed well.
Yeah.
I think that is a franchise we can get behind. There are other 3 games. We Happy Few did not done as well as I think they were. Yeah. Hello Neighbor did not review well.
That does not matter. Hello Neighbor is a gigantic success among like the kids and stuff. Yeah.
It is. Hello Neighbor
it doesn't matter what that review was.
Is a brand. And Godfall. So it's and with 2K saying like, whoa, wait, Borderlands is our thing. It's just interesting, like what Embracer's really buying here. Like what are they?
Duke Nukem now too.
Is there again? These are not you're not rattling off.
They published that Bulletstorm re-release, right?
That was a solid re-release. I will say that was competently remastered. Absolutely.
And then they did the Brothers in Arms, but that one crazy
Brothers
one.
in Arms, dude,
Right.
bring it back, Bloodworth. So yeah,
well, they were doing that crazy spin-off one, but we never saw it after a while.
Hell's Highway? Or
I think that was it.
So is there new IP
Jones,
incoming or what? Are they Brothers in Arms coming back? What's happening, Huber?
Jones, I'm glad you said this because the very first thought when Damiani said that 2K was still holding on to Borderlands is like, well, where's the value here? How are we at $1 billion? Because a lot of these games you mentioned aren't critical darlings, but then Bloodworth, like you said, does it even matter? It's just the aura that Hello Neighbor gives off. It's big. It was big for a while. So it's just
but I don't think that they own Hello Neighbor. I think they might have just done like a publishing or distribution deal.
Yeah, it's just publishing. And that's the thing. Gearbox is a lot of different stuff. Gearbox is development. It's technically the Gearbox Entertainment company that was purchased. And so, they're working on the movie that's coming out. They're working on all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, Borderlands.
Because I think Tiny Build is still, it looks like Tiny Build is still doing Hello Neighbor stuff.
I wonder if there's, like you were saying, Borderlands for now is not really like changing hands or whatever. I wonder if there's years from now in the contract where it's like some of the rights and the profits revert to Embracer, because you would think that the majority of Gearbox's value has to be Borderlands. I feel like it's bigger than everything else they have combined.
Right.
But he also said things are going to take, there's the rocket ship analogy.
Rocket booster.
I love the smiling Pitchford in all the headlines, just like, with his money. He's having a good week.
Payday.
So does that mean that, again, it's like, does Borderlands need that sort of rocket propulsion? Or is there something, again, they want to bring back, some kind of reinvestment they want to do in an IP they already have, or something that they haven't announced yet that the development's on a much faster track now?
Yeah.
That they have been embraced.
Jones, I feel like the best thing they could do for personal reasons, and I think it would be good optics, you try again, you go Aliens Colonial Marines 2. or just another Alien game, try to do it right this time, as a make good for that disaster. What do you think? Do you think it's possible?
Anything's possible, Huber.
Gearbox revisits Aliens.
Anything on a good day is possible. When you start talking about it, the stock goes up. There are other metrics and other levels beyond that, but if the word's gonna get out that you mentioned that on this podcast.
So other things that Embracer Group's they've got Saints Row, Goat Simulator, Dead Island, Darksiders.
Oh yeah.
Metro, MX vs. ATV, Kingdoms of Amalur, Time Splitters, Satisfactory, Wreckfest, Insurgency, and World War Z, amongst many others.
57 internal studios. 57.
Wow.
At Embracer Group. That's a big hug.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is their most high profile, I think, acquisition so far. This is pretty big. That's a big sum of money. That's a big group that.
But I just bring that up to say that even though some of those franchises actively have teams already working on them, they have a big well that Gearbox could now tap into.
Yeah, because was it the was the CEO Lars? Sorry if I get their name wrong. Lars Wingefers. I don't think that's how you pronounce their last name. The CEO of Embracer Group was saying that they basically think their resources are going to allow Gearbox to grow. I think they are thinking of new IPs and new games that they're going to be able to make from them, and they cited both like their Austin and their Quebec studio that they're getting as part of the they're diversifying their studio profile. So it sounds like they have. It sounds like despite Borderlands already having an established thing, they have big plans for them to make other franchises that will become just as big. I think their goal is to have something as big or bigger than Borderlands at some point, and that will be their value. And that I know you're speculating, Huber, that maybe Borderlands reverts back, but I don't know enough about that. And I just don't. 2K probably sees too much value in that to let that go. Maybe so.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there?
And what the pre-sequel was made by 2K Australia or something like that. Yeah. So.
Bloodworth, you reviewed Borderlands 3, right?
Yeah.
Are there any dimensional rifts or other timelines or anything in that game? Do you remember?
Nothing in terms of timelines. I mean, there's definitely some portal business going on.
Okay. So, my mind always goes to shared universes. It's so trendy nowadays. So you start bringing in these other properties you guys were mentioning. That stuff is not crazy to think about in this day and age. It's standard now, it feels like.
Because we are still relatively in the DLC era of Borderlands 3, right, Blood? Those are probably still.
Yeah. I think there's still stuff that's.
Those are still going to trickle out. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Gearbox comes out strong with some crazy new thing in 2022, or maybe gets announced near the end of this year and comes out. Just seems like something's in the works. This doesn't seem like a pitch or a bulletin board or something that was worth $1.378 billion. Seems like something they were doing and potentially packing themselves for. But seeing a lot of insiders in the industry that they're finally, this was apparently something that Gearbox was trying to do for a while.
And I know that we've all been, had our fun poking at Battleborn, but it really was that just off the mark kind of thing. It was a game that could have potential. It's and then once Overwatch got announced, it was well, this is the good version of what Gearbox just showed, and everyone just went with Overwatch. And but it's funny because in its own way it sort of was forward thinking. It just basically didn't get out ahead of the competition.
Yeah. Fun scale in that game. Too many red crystals. Just too many red crystals, man. Red crystals all over the place.
Great criticism, Jones. Love it.
Thanks.
I agree 100%.
Thanks. We get to do something in this podcast tonight that I love to do. It's something that doesn't happen often. Sometimes I do, and I don't really feel great about it. I feel fantastic about both of these headlines we will cover tonight. We get to make fun of Amazon and Google.
Oh!
Yes!
Coming for the big ones.
Because both of them are fouling up pretty hard and are trying to just dust it off and just kind of stroll back into the casino like nothing happened. Let's start off with Google, shall we? Stadia shut down their internal studio, Stadia Games and Entertainment. It's gone.
Making games is hard, huh?
And it's tough. It's expensive. And this is really unfortunate because, as you guys know, Stadia Games and Entertainment has been a mainstay in this industry for decades. It's been around for a really, really long time. It feels odd, after generations and generations to finally say goodbye.
It's kind of like when we said goodbye to LucasArts, yeah.
Yeah. It's just
oh my gosh,
a little bittersweet. They almost made 2 years, actually. SG&E. It was 2 years ago in March of 2019 that Vice President Jade Raymond jumped on board. And apparently they have 150 developers that have been impacted by this move, and we don't know how many of those are going away. They said they're going to try to reposition those people at Google, but who knows how.
Putting that number out there just after we heard about the Gearbox number kind of shows that, they weren't invested, were they? If Gearbox has 550 developers, you know?
Oh,
and
that
Google was just here's 150 people to support our entire platform.
That seems like a good amount to work on one game though. Like
That's the amount for. I mean, it was 2 studios, so I mean, yeah, they were probably working on 2 kind of, decent games. But it just reflects the broader picture of like, what were you even thinking?
Yeah,
what you were even doing, Google?
Yeah, I agree with you, Bloodworth. This really feels like Google didn't fully think out this plan. They just went with something that sounded good. Oh, we're going to make an internal game studio, and then only to find out later, as I said, making games is hard, and maybe it would have been better to go after established studios or partner with other developers for games, which, the other studio we might talk about might be the subject of that. But it just falls into Google's MO of let's try out stuff, and if it doesn't work, oh well, we just close it down and shutter it. We got a lot of money to throw at this, and I think so many of us saw the writing on the wall from day one that like you could just like feel that in their atmosphere, what they're presenting. They're putting on a good marketing face, but there's no substance here. I don't think you really understand what you're getting into, Google.
Yeah, so it's like March 2019, they announced Stadia. November 2019, they launched Stadia, and now February 1st, 2021, they're like, no, we're not going to do our own games. But we're still, that's the funny thing, is like, we're committed to the future of cloud gaming. I'm like, you're not showing it, so I don't understand.
It's like the most obvious thing, because like listen, like streaming games or cloud gaming is going to be one of the pillars of this industry in the near future. So Google is in the right with that. It's just, as I said, they didn't fully grasp the magnitude of what they were trying to tackle. And as we've seen, it clearly looks like Microsoft and Sony are just in better positions to tackle cloud gaming because they've been at it for much longer. They put in the time, they put in the research, and I think that Sony and Microsoft are definitely going to be the leaders in cloud gaming in this decade. But, there's always room for a third. So, maybe Google gets back in there, but they just haven't demonstrated to someone like me that they fully grasp this situation.
It was the classic example of just like, we have unlimited money, let's do what they're doing. Let's do that. Like, we can just
copy them,
throw a bunch of money at it and see what happens, and maybe we can get into this piece of pie, this business.
23 months worth of money, I guess. That's pretty far from unlimited money.
But I really think
in over their
that,
head.
like, if Google really wanted to stay in the game and keep this thing going, like, what they're going to need to do is, something more creative, which I don't know that they have in them, because I think like if they somehow like made Stadia a part of a standard game purchase, maybe it could only work on a PC game or whatever. But like if you say if you bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla and it's also quote unquote powered by Google, so to like, well, you can download it to your PC, but if you don't have access to your PC, you can just, click a button on a browser somewhere else and keep playing your game. Rather than being a separate purchase and a completely different storefront, and trying to sell subscriptions and all that stuff, like it needs to become like a development tool type of a thing.
Because like when the whole Epic store, like shouldn't they have known? Like people don't like other stores or like spreading their games across multiple storefronts.
Very true.
I think you're so right.
I mean, Epic's a different story though. Like I think Epic knew how tough that fight was going to be, and they like put their helmets on and their mouth guard in, and like they went running. Like,
that's the difference.
Sorry, we got free games, we got exclusives. Like they're playing it the way that Google like very much did not.
Yeah, they understood the scope, but also Huber, like not just storefronts and what you're talking about, Blood, with the plans. I think the other hurdle that I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get over is just signing these games on. We've seen other streaming services like Nvidia's one run into those issues where, hey, these games, all these third parties, like, wait a second, you can't play these games on your service. Where are these deals? And Microsoft already is like trying to strengthen its own service with Game Pass. Like, I don't see them finding the value in being on Google, so they're gonna have to go the pot smaller for them of who they're able to go after. And I just don't know if they're gonna have the value there at the end of the day, because you already see that with streaming services with movies, like the fights going on and people want their things back on their own catalog. I think Google is just gonna be. I think they were also a little bit too late with their idea with what they're trying to do as well. And I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know what they can really do. I honestly, I think unless they throw money is not the right answer. I just think they're out of the game, honestly. I don't want to say never is never, but I personally think Google's out of the game at this point. Like, they're not coming back.
Well, what Phil Harrison wants to do, he said they're not going to be. We've decided we will not be investing further in bringing exclusive content from our internal development team, SG&E, beyond any near-term planned games. So there might be stuff that's happening near term, but they haven't.
Oh, that's true.
But they haven't really announced anything yet. What they want to do, Damiani, what Phil wants to do, is sell the Stadia tech. So if you're a publisher that wants to get in the streaming game and you don't want to develop your own thing, come on over and take the Stadia stuff. You buy in? Would you buy in to Stadia? Because their business model in terms of game development is laughable, but at least from our perspective, people who don't develop stuff. But from the actual tech of it running, like, I see a lot of people pointing out, like, Cyberpunk ran pretty well on it. Destiny had some fun functionality. Like, there have been success stories in
Hitman,
terms of,
I think, did some cool stuff too.
There have been success stories with just in terms of just how it runs. So I wonder, even with all of these flubs, if some people might adopt that, if that might be their win, that they're like, hey, come on and jump on.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it is
That's
becoming a
Stadia
much
tech.
more crowded space, as Damian was saying. It's
Yeah.
like you've got Luna, you've got Parsec, you've got Nvidia, you've got xCloud. It's
Sorry, xCloud is what I meant to say, not Games Pass. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is xCloud is part of Game Pass Ultimate, so it is Game Pass, really, realistically. So
It's all Game Pass. Blood, I can't believe you've gotten this far without saying your favorite quote from Stadia. From a source familiar with Stadia, according to Kotaku. Shall I read it?
I'm drawing a blank on what it was.
Google was a terrible place to make games. Imagine Amazon, but under-resourced.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
That's the segue we need, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I love those familiar sources. I also am just curious what's going on with Jade Raymond. She
Bouncing around.
has been bouncing around. She was
Yeah.
at I first discovered her with
Creed.
Assassin's Creed, obviously, and she helped develop that franchise. Then moved over to EA, and then was here for less than 2 years. And her quote was interesting. That actually came a little bit later in Kotaku's reporting. I am proud of the team we built at Stadia Games and Entertainment and the groundbreaking work on exclusive games for the platform. It was a difficult decision to take on a new opportunity, and I will be forever grateful to this team for everything we learned and achieved together. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but it sounds like her leaving might have kind of been snowballed a lot of this stuff, or like she's wording that in a way where she's like, well, I'm taking on a new opportunity, not like it's being shut down. I don't have a job. I'm going to go do something else. And granted, there may potentially be games that they haven't announced yet that she could still, oversee.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if if she made the call, like, look guys, like, this isn't working, you need to shut this down, and by the way, I got a job I'm leaving next month.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's similar, to what we'll hear about with Amazon. That maybe the people in charge were not listening to the people who actually know about making games.
Yeah.
And that butting of heads said, Jade probably maybe read the writing on the wall and said, "Peace out. Like, this is a disaster. You're heading for a disaster. I'm out of here. Like, you don't know what you're doing."
Yeah. Or maybe not even disaster. Maybe just like nothing got done.
That
I
too.
could see that too. Of just like, what are we actually doing here? A year goes by and you just don't really have any concepts or anything developed.
Or at whatever concepts they do come up with, like, somebody shuts down because it's like, I don't know how profitable we do, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's just, I feel like it's worse for someone like Amazon. I don't know if it's okay to start segueing into Amazon yet.
Almost.
Almost. Okay, I'll hold it then.
I think,
what
is it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate just because, like, the history. Amazon has a longer history trying this, and
Oh, yeah.
I think their shortcomings are a little bit more profound than Google's.
Well, like Google, has, like their VP Jade Raymond, who's really kind of overseeing a lot of these things, speaking on behalf of the company, other than Phil, who's still there. Whereas with Amazon, it's like you have a lot of cooks in that kitchen. That we haven't really had any, high-profile game announcements from Stadia. We have had exclusive stuff to Stadia, but nothing from SG&E specifically. Whereas, like, there is a huge laundry list of, starts and stops at Amazon Game Studios, and we will get there in just a second. James Anderson, in love and respect assumed we would be covering this week, and asks, do you think we'll ever see a full-blown AAA game that can only exist on a cloud streaming platform? And if so, how long will it be before it happens now?
Define only exist on cloud gaming like that.
Either something that one of these companies, like, I guess it would pretty much have to be, Luna or Stadia, because, if Xbox does that,
the question reads like the only possible with that tech. So I'm like, what would...
Or only on it.
That will only exist,
If you mean exclusive to it,
I wouldn't say it would be only possible, because I don't know there's anything that
the great white whale.
Yeah.
One of these companies being like, this is our thing, our Halo, our God of War.
I just don't know. Other people have tried getting big fish, like they've gotten the whale, to try and sell their platform to make it viable. Mixer getting a Ninja and like that not working out. Like sometimes it doesn't matter. The better product or the product that the consumers want always wins out. It doesn't matter what you put on there. You can pay a lot of money in marketing to get attention and make that a big thing and make it a tent pole. But at the end of the day, like the service has to be good. It has to be what actually consumers want to adopt, and you can't force something like that. So obviously cloud gaming, I think, is going to succeed in that regard. I think anything is a little too soon for that. I think in a few years, that might be possible, especially if a new player wants to come in. Like, let's say Google got in a few years from now, and it had like that, like let's say they got GTA 6 as an exclusive on Stadia, and that was like how Stadia was announced. That would actually be a big deal and might have a chance, but I don't think...
Be a lot of outrage, too.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that, but I don't know. I won't say never, but it seems like it doesn't seem very likely.
How much does Ubisoft like Stadia? Would they be willing to hand off Riders Republic
Ubisoft totally would be the one to get into bed with Stadia. Totally.
But no, they've already...
they are.
They've
done
Stadia stuff. They've done Luna stuff.
Like
with that kind of exclusive thing you were talking about, Jones. Just something like that. I could see it being Ubisoft.
Bezos is out.
You've been waiting to say that.
He's out. He's gone. Whether that is, I want to think there's a connection to games. I want to think that there's Jason Schreier got Bezos fired. That's the narrative that I'm going with. We weren't sure how powerful he was. Now all this stuff is happening side by side. But Jason Schreier and Priya Anand had a big story, a really wonderful reporting over at Bloomberg. Just a piece just absolutely dragging Mike Frazzini, who is behind Amazon Game Studios, the man who says that every game that they make needs to be $1 billion franchise. It's always good. I remember it reminds me of when we were at Viacom. People were like in the early days of game trailers, it's like, can we make a viral video? It's like, yeah, I'll be right back. Let me just go. I'll bring one in tomorrow, and we'll blow up. We'll go big. Yeah, Amazon Game Studios has had a very rocky past, but as Jason Schreier loves to bring to light, it's often much worse than we could possibly imagine. Damiani, you were chomping at the bit to talk about this. I got lots of notes, but how are you feeling?
It just speaks to when you put people in charge who aren't actually game developers, who don't have a game development background. This is like, what else do you expect most of the time when you put a suit in charge here?
Right. You need somebody. Yes, you need somebody smart like Randy Pitchford.
Like. Okay, Jones. Brandon.
Come on.
I mean,
it's like my parents. Brandon.
It's not for lack of talent either. I mean, when they kickstarted this whole initiative, we got Kim Swift from Portal, Clint Hawking for Far Cry 2. They bought Double Helix after the success of Killer Instinct. They announced those 3 games at TwitchCon: Breakaway, Crucible, New World. 2 of those got canceled. Crucible as early as last year, and I played New World. I don't know if the other allies like it. I thought it was trash, and a lot of MMO
Kristen
streamers
and Brad really like it. I think it looks really cool too.
A lot of big streamers I follow thought it was just not viable and did not like it. So it's not going to take off. And so what do they have to show for this? And I like this is I think what you get. I mean, I think Amazon might have been, obviously Amazon seems like a lot more serious than Google, and I think they're in this for the long haul. But like when I think of the prospect of Amazon or Google being an industry leader in this, I just get like terrified, especially when like the stories come out that they're also potentially in bidding wars, because you said they're abandoning kind of their internal studios. What if they go for partners and third-party studios and start gobbling up those? I don't want to see that either. That sounds like a nightmare scenario. Like all the negativity like Activision, EA, Microsoft, whatever gets, I'd rather one of those studios take over any other game studio than Amazon or Google, because that would be like a nightmare scenario for me. Because yeah, as Jason Schreier said, it's like Frazzini was the problem. And honestly, this is like, I'll wrap this up real quick. Sorry. I even feel like this about Nintendo.
Love it.
Iwata was a president who had a game development background. You saw something like the best games come out under his watch and be approved, as opposed to like when you get someone like a Furukawa who's a suit. And there's an interview between Bandai Namco's Harada and Monolith Soft's Takahashi, where he talked about there was a phase at Nintendo where he sent like a bunch of game ideas in, and Nintendo only approved like a more recent Xenoblade, because, it wasn't game developers in charge. It was like people in suits who care about marketing. I feel companies are at their best, and historically have been at their best, when they're led by people who are passionate about the games and developers first, not about the bottom line and pleasing investors. And Amazon is all about pleasing investors and like those Bezos bucks before Bezos is gone.
Well, that's a
shady
big
deals.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big
Not
part
even
of Schreier's article is, he's talking about how they would get this top talent, but then they'd still expect them to look at things the Amazon way. And it's just like, like you can't develop a game just entirely based on metrics and, and conversion rates and all of this type of thing, and they talked about Lumberyard, which is funny because like that really reminds me of Frostbite at EA.
Yeah.
Like everybody is battling this engine rather than, just using something that works. And they're talking about people are basically like, they've got to wait for things to compile or process or whatever. So they're just wasting time like doing something on the side while their computer
Sources said, quote, "It is killing this company."
Yeah.
Literally the software that makes stuff is killing it.
How many times have engines killed companies, man, or caused so much hardships? Come on.
But it just like the bottom line is that they seem out of touch, right? Like even with New World, it's like they were out of touch that like, oh, people might see this as being a racist depiction of Native Americans. Like you didn't think about that. You didn't see that as a potential problem. Like that's one of the first things that sort of comes to mind. And I guess they addressed that and did mystical monsters or whatever. But it's like, man, like, why are you heading up this stuff rather than like letting your developers like actually develop games? And it also sounds like there's other things in there too, with like there's just like lack of incentives, and so like people would rather they would do better just to like stay quiet and not raise objections to keep their jobs, rather than try to fight the system and make a better game.
Yeah, apparently.
I want to.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, just apparently bonuses were based on how long you were in the company and not success of game sales. So it's like they were focused more on keeping their jobs and actually like getting games out and having games sell well.
Yeah, just I feel like they're gonna live or die by a New World. If this game is a hit, it'll raise them up. But if this thing fails, like, what is the future of Amazon Game Studios? What if New World comes out and it's a flop? Like, what happens?
I mean,
what sounds like what happens is that they just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, they're spending $500 million a year. They just
I feel like
spend
Amazon
$500 million more.
Yeah, Amazon I think is more likely to start trying to buy more studios to shore up their talent, like their offerings for Luna. I mean, their next phase would probably be like, let's find something that's huge. Imagine if Amazon buys Sega, and now all that stuff is exclusive to Luna. You talked about like I talked about the outrage of like GTA and like that. The equal outrage for that. That's I don't want that. I like those games being available on as many platforms, but this is when it comes to cloud gaming and trying to shore up your service. If they're trying to bolster Luna, this is the strategy they're thinking of, because they're already in that war with streaming with their other streaming platforms like Amazon Prime Video. They know what they need to do. So obviously that's how it was. It's like make catalogs and then you work with other studios to make exclusive shows on your platform, like like The Expanse, or what was the Man in the High Castle was another like critically acclaimed one. They might start going that way with
The Wilds.
The Wilds, the other one. Now they start doing that with games. They start working with, these companies, they maybe do that. I don't know. I mean, I know. Sorry, I just get like worked up about like thinking about Amazon because like when it comes to I think games is a different thing. Movies have been around for so much longer. I think they're a little bit better understood, and I think that the people who work there might understand better. I think gaming is a whole different beast, and I think a lot of these entertainment experts who like, oh, I'm just gonna cross over because Frazini has a background in book publishing before he went to games. I was looking up on his like LinkedIn profile, according to his own profile. That's where he worked in. Like, oh, I know publishing. I know how to be a publisher and stuff. It's like games is a whole different set of rules, and I don't think people really understand the gravity of what they're getting into when they get into games development.
I will say, just looking at the game and not all this like backdoor business, all this stuff, the idea of a brand new MMO always, I mean this with 100% certainty and passion, it always excites me.
Oh yeah, I love MMOs, man.
Yes,
I love it.
Like World of Warcraft and Final
put MMOs
Fantasy.
down like a drug, dude. I was like,
Yes,
I gotta back
dude.
away from this genre.
World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy have this market completely dominated.
Yeah.
So
Genshin Impact.
yeah, and so I think like focusing on trying to break into that is not that dumb of a move. I know they dominate the market, but really there's not much other competition other than those big heavy hitters. And those games are so old. Brad and I always joke around, yeah, we love World of Warcraft and their expansions, but like, holy shit, that game is old, and like the art style's great, but like, dude, it's not the best looking game.
Yeah.
You know, and then you see something like New World and it like looks great visually.
Yeah.
I think it looks cool.
I didn't think it looked very good.
Comparatively,
Stuff like RuneScape and EverQuest are like still rocking. So to a lot of the the diehards, it's visual style performance has so very little to do with it. If I'm embedded in a community that I love, doesn't matter.
I get everything.
And just the idea too of like a new MMO economy, player housing, like these groups kind of banding together. It like the outline for New World still has me excited. Whether that will land and all come together in a satisfying way is still yet to be seen. I know they've delayed it a bunch of times, whether that's for mishandling development or reevaluating it and like retooling it. I know they've made big changes to their open world PvP. I refuse to write New World off just yet.
I'm totally writing it off. I think they might still continue to support it. I think it might get a following, but like a hit, no. Like a Twitch superstar, aka the platform they also own. True. Like no way.
I get that, Jones, and I guess anything less than a hit for New World is a failure, maybe, with the way they've been going.
Hubert, I understand. Like I get what you're saying. It is exciting when a new MMO. It's just like it's one of the hardest things to get into. Mm-hmm. And break through. How many times have we just heard about a new MMO and it just like maybe does okay for a while and it just like flounders because I think the market doesn't support a lot of different MMOs running at like that be successfully run at the same time. And some of the biggest names have tried and they've found like moderate, like you saw like Elder Scrolls Online still going. You had
Old Republic.
Old Republic was still going for a while. The superhero one, I keep forgetting its name.
DC Universe Online.
DC Universe.
City Heroes.
City of Heroes.
City of Heroes. Like there've been ones like going back to like even like when WoW was popular. So like Dark Age of Camelot. You had
Dayak, baby.
Yeah, like you've had these ones that like thrive. It's just when I think Amazon wants us to be huge, and I don't think it's gonna ever I don't think it's gonna live up to its expectations. And I cite. There are two other canceled projects: Breakaway, which was supposed to be a brawler, and Crucible, which was supposed to be a third-party shooter.
Oh, dude, there's more than that, man. There was Nova, which was based off League of Legends. There was Intensity, Huber, that was based on Fortnite.
Intensity.
They've tried to do these other ones, and they failed at these other ones. And MMO is the hardest, most complex of any of these ones they've tried. Yeah. I know they've consolidated a lot of these studios around New World at this point, but I just don't have the confidence. I do not have the confidence it's going to end up being what they want.
Yeah, the heat that like Avengers is under right now is nothing compared to the heat that Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 faces like on a continual basis. It's like you just constantly have to reinvent yourself. It's just like why yeah, it's why get involved? Why start your own game studios? Why invest that heavily if you're not, if you're just going to fumble it so bad? Which is why it just, it's so amusing to me to poke.
It's that they don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's, they're talking about how, they would create these clashing goals of being like super popular but super innovative, and all these things that are kind of designed almost setting their teams up to fail. It's like you're gonna just basically not make something if these things all try to come together. Or they're talking about chasing whatever the latest trend is, and it's like if you're chasing the latest trend, you're gonna be 4 years late. Right.
But as we stated, Bezos is out. Andy Jassy's in, who's currently the head of cloud computing at Amazon. So Luna is in his wheelhouse, and he's confident, quote, "Some businesses take off in the first year, others take many years. Though we haven't consistently succeeded yet in Amazon Game Studios, I believe we will, if we hang in there." Hang in there. That's like a scoutmaster. That's like a kindergarten teacher. Hang in there. We just gotta keep swinging.
I just want to believe that we will get another great MMO. I don't know. Remember WildStar? Do you remember that one? WildStar had such promise, and then that thing.
I went down to that studio. And I talked to that team.
The history of Overwatch. Blizzard was making another MMO and decided to turn it into Overwatch. Mm-hmm. Like, that shows how difficult the current landscape is.
Even the great ones, like we were talking about Warhammer Online, like that was a great game. It just didn't last.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. And I think it just might be the formula at this point, is that like these other types of games as a service has just eclipsed MMOs. Why pay a subscription? Can you can you add the amount of content MMO needs without a subscription anymore? Will microtransactions cover the cost of that? Why
there are definitely a lot that have tried. Yeah. And some of them are still around for sure.
Old Republic is another great one. That was so much fun.
Yeah. Old Republic is free to play now, right?
Yeah, it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Since a while ago. Yeah. Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matrix Online.
Yeah. Matrix.
I feel I know New World is not going to have subscription, Damiani. Do you think that helps it, or like you were saying, like how do you keep supporting the game?
You do like the skins, you do mounts, you do everything short of pay to win. Obviously, I think you do pay to win in MMO, you're dead. You're gonna die out. You got to do skins and stuff. You got to do like cool costumes. You do mounts. You do any way that is superficial, but it is enticing to the player, where they feel they want it. And then
God, I remember Lord of the Rings Online. Damiani did like extra bag space, and I was just like, I want that bag space, damn it.
I mean, you do like skips and stuff. I mean, I guess that's pay to win, but like don't get an advantage in like you don't get a competitive advantage, but you can like skip over content. I think that's another thing you could possibly do. Like you just charge people like, I don't want to do the story. I just want to skip to the end game and play with my friends. So don't make me do the stupid grind part. Also, it's another thing. Fundamentally, MMOs, like the leveling process, that needs to be really overhauled. Like the existing way of doing it in almost every game, I know they streamlined it to speed it up, but there's got to be a more interesting way to do it at this point or something. I don't know. Than just like go do a quest and turn it in and you're locked out from these other areas till you do these quests.
World of Warcraft 2 or Final Fantasy 18.
Oh, like you mean first or ever?
No. When the MMO gets like reimagined, it'll be one of them.
Jeez. Comrades, Huber.
Comrades.
And now, a word from our sponsors. You know that credit card. The one that you're afraid to look at to see what the balance is. If you've been avoiding your debt, it's time to confront it. Upstart can help you face it and finally pay it off. Last year showed us that you never know what life is going to throw at you, and if you used credit cards to pay for unexpected expenses, it can be overwhelming to manage that debt. Take control with Upstart so you know exactly what to expect. If you have multiple credit cards, you know that tracking multiple balances, due dates, and website logins can be stressful. Upstart makes things simple with one monthly payment in one place. Speaking of MMOs, website logins, baby. What is it? The dual? Why can't I think of it? You gotta have the app. The dual two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
2FA.
Upstart is the fast and easy way to get a personal loan to pay off your debt all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Upstart finds smarter rates with trusted partners because they assess more than just your credit score. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans from $1,000 to $50,000. I love that 5 minutes is like the test. We've had a lot of sponsors lately where it's like, how long does that take? And I love the 5-minute take. It does take 5 minutes. You can get approved the same day, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day. If debt is taking over your life, it's time to get a fresh start with Upstart. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/easyallies. That's upstart.com/easyallies. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit income and certain other information provided in your loan application. That's upstart.com/easyallies. We all shop online. Hell yeah. Got a gift certificate for my birthday? You bet I'm shopping online. And we've all seen that promo code field taunt us at checkout. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online. They range from sites that have tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. Here's how it works. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button drops down, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. It feels so good. It's just nice to have that save money, but it's just like, I want to go for it, honey. I dare you. You just go get something. It's fun. And it like loads. It's like, you don't usually like to see loading screens, but it's just fun to be like, and save money. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop. Honey has found its over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. Can confirm. Checked it out, installed right away. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/allies. That's joinhoney.com/allies. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you.
All right, so this week, EA dropped some reveals on the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Primarily the release date, May 14th. And there's also like a lot of previews and stuff that are out there. I checked out PC Gamers, and I've been checking out Game Informer stuff that's been rolling out throughout the week. Stuff in there about the revisions to the Mako in Mass Effect 1 and elevators and all of that kind of thing.
Elevators.
Yes.
They talked about basically cutting down the elevator times.
Remember the like wobbly Mako? Just like
Literally my number one thing I wanted them to fix. I'm so happy they said
you should be able to revert though to the original, just to wobble
an instant
around.
toggle like the graphics option, but it's like see the old version of how bad it was.
It's coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One with forward compatibility to PS5 and Xbox Series XS, which I think is interesting. That there's like they're not talking about any native current gen versions, which I think we're seeing I've seen pop up a lot with publishers. It's like, oh, that's a thing. It's not actually a next gen version or current gen or whatever you want to call it. Other details to keep in mind. Like I said, Mass Effect, the original game is getting the biggest overhaul. The Legendary Edition is going to introduce the default femship that was in Mass Effect 3 from the start to you can play that character through all 3 games. There's like a centralized like hub launcher, so like it's not. They are like more connected basically on the main screen, and then the multiplayer they decided not to do. They said it was basically too complex, too big of a job to add.
It was fun. Which
multiplayer?
Hashtag, and this is going to be
the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer that people are still playing.
I actually enjoyed
Yeah.
actually enjoyed 3's multiplayer, and it wasn't an alternative way to handle the galaxy readiness thing as well.
Yeah, you
Like,
kind
It
of
was part of
kinda
that. It was
needed
all
a little
tied
bit,
into
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
There are
mean,
points that
I
went
actually
to it.
like the galaxy readiness stuff. Like, I didn't overall like 3, but like the multiplayer and galaxy readiness stuff, man, that's gonna make it harder to play through 3 again.
The other thing that got cut, which I don't think I ever messed around with, was the Pinnacle Station DLC from the first game. The source code is corrupted. So it's just like they basically would have to rebuild it from scratch.
But it is worth saying that they completely threw that developer under the bus because it wasn't BioWare that made it; it was a separate dev. And I love
Demiurge, yeah.
And I love that they were like, these clowns.
Oh my gosh.
We got him on the horn. Like, oh, we'll need that Pinnacle Station sent over right away. Like, yeah, about that. It's busted.
And then there's two quotes I want to pull out here because I find them interesting. Number one is the studio has been wanting to do this for a long time now, which I think is very interesting, and it shows that like it's not just like a business decision, throw it together. The guy that's kind of heading it all up and who's been in a lot of these interviews has been basically like through Mass Effect's whole series. But then the other bit, they're talking about that it's not going to have stuff like ray tracing because they're still running it on Unreal Engine 3. And the quote here is, an example would be the Unreal Engine 3 scripting language Kismet. There's no copy-paste equivalent to that. So every moment, every scene would essentially have to be redone from scratch, and we take away the essence of what the trilogy was. Mm-hmm. So what this was about was fidelity, taking off some of the edges people would expect. And so that bit there, that we take away the essence of what the trilogy was, I find very interesting, and I want to just throw that to the panel. And what you think about, like, when you think of, like, remasters and remakes and kind of what you want out of those things and all the different approaches we've seen in the past year or two.
It's like Silent Hill. They cleaned it up too much, you know? And so they're just like, look, you can see the whole street now. And you're like, wait, I don't, you know.
I was missing the fog.
And you know, it's but at the same time, something like, the GoldenEye, the 360 GoldenEye that I'm just, like, so tempted to download and run through. It's weird. And the cradle level, the final level, like seeing the ground, like, oh, you know, it's like you're in the clouds, you know, it's like you're in a airship flying around, and so you definitely want to feel like it. You don't want to gloss it up too much to the point where you're like, well, this is just like a completely different game.
Yeah, if you want to throw in, I understand people would like to have something like ray tracing, but that for me would be like a ground up rebuild of Mass Effect.
A remake.
Yeah, like this is a remaster to me.
Yeah.
And I'm all for, like, it needs to feel as close to the original while just looking better. So if you have to, like, recreate something and it loses that feel, that crosses into a different category for me. So I'm personally okay with that. You know.
Same, yeah. I just want a nice classic remaster for this because, yeah, that essence, those vibes are so important to Mass Effect. Because it's so different, just especially now with all the remakes we've been getting, so much different than just a remaster.
Yeah.
So, and all the just I've been looking at the screenshots, Bloodworth, and it looks good. I like the way that this is shaping up and the way it looks. It looks just touched up. You know, it looks a lot better, but it still looks like Mass Effect.
I feel spoiled. This will be my first time going through that trilogy. And so, like, there's to be so many areas. I'm like, oh, this looks nice. And, like, fans are like, you have no idea, man. Like, that tree wasn't even a tree. Like, come on.
that was me with God of War. I didn't go through any of those games till the HD remasters, and I went through every single game that way. I remember Rich Brown coming by and goes, "You are so lucky."
Those run so well. Those and the Uncharted collection.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite remaster collections. They're just so perfect.
Man, my one hope is that like 2 is just as good as I remember when I replay it.
I mean, same. Honestly, yeah, same, Damiani. It'll be so nice to revisit it. I love revisiting games, but this is a series I've not revisited since it came out. Really, I haven't replayed the Mass Effects, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, for me, I replayed 1 and 2 before 3 came out when I was doing the backtrack, the series with the composers, and so I was going through replaying to get all of those moments, and any of those specific scenes that they were talking about. I was like, okay, what is this? Yeah, I only played through Mass Effect 3 that one time because I did the interview before 3 came out, and so then like my journey through 3 was partly getting that footage.
I think there's also a danger, you want something to feel like it, and I think that also kind of it puts a ceiling on how much you can really like make something look prettier, because if there's a structure that you want to stick to, KOTOR comes to mind, because there's like rumors that KOTOR 1 and 2 are going to be combined into something. And like KOTOR, for all of its incredible excellence, is a lot of hallways. And those are very pretty looking hallways, but it's just like there's a lot of really, thin corridors with enemies and, beyond the next door, and then just this huge skybox that makes you feel that you're on top, on some planet. So like if that is just the prettiest looking hallway I've ever seen, it's Final Fantasy 13. No, seriously. It's tough to, again, it's like, you're like putting, I don't want to say lipstick on a pig, but it's like you're calling too much focus on the limitations the original game had, instead of just like really celebrating it and making it look, like to me, what Legendary Edition looks like for Mass Effect is like how they wished it had looked at the time, like
right.
what they would have made it look like if they had had the resources to do it.
I can't imagine the temptation some developers must feel to little tweak here, little tweak there, little tweak here. I imagine, you need a lot of restraint to really stay true to the original. Because like you're saying, Jones, like that limited design, like maybe we'll just open up this hallway a little more. Oh, this seems pretty cramped. Why don't we just make it a little bigger? Oh, throw a couple more enemies in there. It's like
I think that they did talk a little bit about that, and like in terms of just like updating everything. It's like, well, let's look at this from the game camera perspective and seeing like what really needs to change. The one thing that's bugged me from the screenshots, and what's funny is somebody pointed out, I was like, well, that's always been in Mass Effect games, but some of the side-by-sides, like you see this like giant like horizontal lens flare like covering up big parts of the shot, and it's like it's not in the original shot,
Right.
So why is it over there? And it sounds like they have like moved some light sources and things like that around, for better lighting. But it is something that, like, well, I hope that the lens flare isn't as obtrusive as it looks in the screenshot.
Yeah, it is.
I hope it's just they're sort of there when you hit the right angle or whatever.
Hopefully you can turn it off.
Yeah, it's a major thing they actually train for in NASA. Is like once you get out into space, those lens flares rough. They really impact visibility. Very distracting.
I really think this is going to be the #1 selling Mass Effect of all time. I really do. I think Mass Effect is about to have a massive moment. I think this is going to be huge. I think everyone is going to be getting this. Everyone is going to be playing this. And it's cool because like Andromeda wasn't the best received. So I like that we're, taking a pause on moving the franchise forward, going back to what everyone has really been clamoring for, really wanting just a nice, easy way to play these legendary games.
Yeah, and actually, that makes me really think about this in terms of like what Kingdom Hearts has done, and I think that's really the value of this is like, hey, people love these games the way they are. It's not like they're in like these tiny little models that you can't see facial expressions on or anything, right? And if they're going to be continuing this story with the next Mass Effect game that comes out in 2 or 3 years, then they need a way for people to be able to jump back into these. And Mass Effect 1 in particular, and the Mako driving in particular, are kind of barriers. They're kind of obstacles to that storyline. And so I think this is something that's just sort of like a necessity for people to be able to simply catch up.
Totally.
Can't wait to take that Mako for a spin, man. You're selling it.
Well, the funny thing too about the Mako, Brandon, is like it's one of those things where like almost like with it's similar to like the climbing in Breath of the Wild, to where you would just try to like push that Mako into places it probably shouldn't go. Yeah. I was like, I can do it. I can make it up this hill. I know I can.
PlayStation just recently celebrated. I thought we were done with us looking back at 2020, but this is personal, folks. This is what we did in 2020. PlayStation wants us to celebrate the year that was, the year we kicked back most of it with our PlayStation 4 and then some of it with our PlayStation 5s, by letting everybody go and track some of their, primarily the games that they played the most, which we will be discussing. I put all my information down. I'm proud of all of it. I love that one of the things on this forum, so if you haven't seen this, if you log into PlayStation.com, you can go and if you click on I believe it's their headlines, you can check and see the wrap up, the 2020 wrap up. I love that one of them was like, congratulations, you got a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, is there like, if people didn't, or am I scrolling down? Is there something that's like, ooh, we see you didn't get a PlayStation 5. You might want to pick one of those up in 2021.
I want to see if it's just missing or if there's a screenshot of something else there.
Yeah, like a sad PlayStation 5. I got all my numbers. I don't know if we just did our top games, but I want to hear the top games of all of the panelists. Daniel. Michael Huber.
No, I was just saying I have it here. I have the information. I came prepared, Brandon Jones.
Huber, hit me. What was your most played game of 2020?
So I got the whole thing here. Number of games played in 2020, 98.
Oh my God.
You guys are not prepared for my numbers, by the way.
What?
Wow.
98.
All right.
Number 1, baby. So pumped. 117 hours. Last of Us Part 2.
117. I don't know about
117 hours.
See, that's the thing. You're diversifying. I'm
I beat
committing.
it like 3 times.
I'm committing. My top 256 hours, baby.
Wow. Hey, you're gonna be stoked about this, Jones. Number 1, Last of Us Part 2, 117. Number 2, Ghost of Tsushima, 70 hours. Here's this one's for you, Jones. 68 hours. Number 3, Marvel's Avengers. My number 3. What the hell?
That's my 256, baby.
It's because it's like The Division 2 one year was my like number 1 game. It's just they're so long. It's this loot. You just keep playing. They're games you sink a lot of hours into.
Right.
So, all right. Total. Here's where you guys are not ready. Total hours of gameplay in 2020. Anyone have a guess?
1,100.
4,000.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, baby.
4,210
Holy
total
what?
hours of gameplay in 2020 with my PlayStation. I play a lot of games. Holy shit.
Blood, this is a borderline like job review. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like
175 days.
I know. I did the math. I did the math.
Okay, Blood, I want. Okay,
What?
Huber and Damiani, talk amongst yourselves. Blood, we need to take that number, cross-reference how to beat all the games he's reviewed, subtract that, or add on to that potential hours that he admitted playing on Frame Trap. I think that sounds like more than I bet 70% of that has nothing to do with Easy Allies. Like these are not even things you're talking about or something. Like, are you sure you didn't just leave the controller down and go to bed or something? Like that's insane.
Yeah. Days played in 2020, 259 days.
Oh my God.
Top day of the week, Sunday afternoon.
Me too.
Best.
Yeah, Sunday
The
afternoon.
Best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's pretty much it. Total trophies. 920 trophies. Only 3 platinums. I'm not a platinum trophy hunter, everyone. I like to play the maximum amount of games. I like to finish a game, on to the next one. Finish a game, on to the next one. I'm very rigorous in my playing a couple games at a time and just seeing them all the way through to the end. Beating a video game is my number 1 dopamine.
Wow.
Number 1. There it is. Top PS5 game was Destiny 2. So, that's it.
What you got, Damiani?
All right. Well, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Number of games played in 2020, 34.
Still more than me.
Nice.
Still more
Your
than
top games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, 92 hours.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ghost of Tsushima, 36 hours.
Big gap.
Still
Wow.
haven't finished it. And then number 3, Dark Souls 3, 28 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't get this.
Yeah.
It says top genre RPG 97. So is Dark Souls not an RPG to them?
I wonder.
I was like, and some other games in here are like, wait, what? How is that not? So I don't know about that number. Total hours of gameplay in 2020, only 308.
I got that beat. Nice.
Yeah. Only 199 trophies compared to Huber's 900. And this is, I don't know if this is on my list either, but my top PS5 game. Oh, top PS5 game hours. Okay, so Immortals Phoenix Rising was my top PS5 game. I thought it was 36 hours for that, but it said I played 36 hours of PS5 games. So I'm trying to remember what other PS5. Oh, I dabbled in Astrobot. I finished Astrobot. So, but wait, then it says total PS5 gameplay hours 59. So top PS5 game hours 36. I don't get this.
I think some of these things don't add up, but we'll get to mine.
Anyway, and only 108 PS5 trophies, and yeah, that was just basically only one platinum, Huber, and that was Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good one, dude. That's a good one to get.
Yeah.
All right, Blood, impress me.
Well, okay. Again, with the things that potentially don't add up, I'm convinced that the disparities in some of these stats, like my numbers have got to be skewed by games being on pause while I ended up like working on something or something.
Really pause that much.
Just like okay. But number of games played, 20. Top games, Trials of Mana, number 1.
Yep.
Whoa.
83 hours.
Yep.
That's
Sekiro,
surprising.
number
Unexpected.
2, just behind it, 81 hours.
Sick.
Number 3, Fall Guys at 52 hours.
52
Nice.
Fall Guys.
But
Well
pay
done.
attention to this number. This is the weirdest one, the Fall Guys number. Okay, and then it says my top genre is action adventure with 345 top genre hours. And then total gameplay hours is 501. And then days played 111. Top day of the week, nights on Sundays.
Heck yeah.
And then trophies 252, 1 platinum.
Nice.
Nice.
Do you remember what it was?
It's got to be Astrobot, yeah.
Nice.
And then top PS5 game, Demon's Souls, 57 hours. Now, that's more than the 52 they said for Fall Guys. So, weird,
Oh.
right? Yeah. And then total PS5 gameplay hours, 85. Total PS5 trophies, 124. And then down here it says Fall Guys, hours played online, 23.
Ah.
So what were your other?
Well, where's the
what else
offline?
were you doing? In Fall
Yeah, what
Guys?
else was I
Yeah,
doing?
navigating
what at
the
the
store?
secret-
What's going on?
Do you have this
But half of
offline
my
mode?
time
You-
was not online.
You're
and
playing
He's
against
Fall
got
guys?
access to the offline mode. This guy's been practicing.
They were hoodwinked.
So that's why I think it was like Fall Guys was just like on pause, and I would jump in. But it's
Yeah.
even still like half of the time. I don't know. But fun anyways.
Yeah. Marvel's Avengers, 256 hours.
Wow.
Number 2,
wow.
Final Fantasy
How many
VII
games?
Remake, 70. 28 games. So
Okay.
so not that many, just a little bit over you, Blood. Final Fantasy VII Remake, number 2, 70.
Sick.
Yeah. Lots of grinding. I just was in that. I was in that arena, whatever you call it. I spent a lot of time in there before I wrapped that game up. Loved that. And Dreams at 63. I'm happy with that number. A lot of that was spent hanging out with Kyle, making a level. 675 total hours. 9 hours in VR, which I'm glad they distinguished. 144 days. What was your 250 something, Huber?
259.
And only 229 trophies. Only 6 gold, man. I'm not a big trophy hunter either, at all. But and of course, if I had not played Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Xbox, that would certainly be up there.
Same.
And,
same. I got cheated out of some hours.
all my Demon Souls time, that was all in January before we did Goaties, and I've been playing a ton of Immortals on my PS5, but it's all been most have been in January.
Yeah.
So otherwise, Immortals would easily.
Oh yeah,
be,
my Animal Crossing hours too, dude.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we do play other
Eclipse all
consoles.
of this.
It's just fun, We talk about what
So
other
fun.
companies are doing. We like to
love
make
it.
fun of Amazon and Google. We want to make fun of ourselves, or more specifically, Huber.
Just because there's so many games and movies, I like to keep a record. So I like that Sony just has a nice little
Huber, it doesn't
Hubert, you got me. I started the what
Yeah.
games have I beat list.
nice. It's good. It's good to just remember and to be able to. I just remember it a little more. Sometimes I'll write a couple notes about it. So I like it.
doesn't seem like there's anything in your life other than your PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, man. Those are.
Yeah, just me, my wife, and the
Yep.
PlayStation.
Let me know.
pretty
Hey,
much.
let me know if anybody's got any one of those numbers beat in the comments, and we'll go over that next week. Huber will be back. Also this week, Judgment's coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S on April 23rd. Toshihiro Nagoshi, the executive director and producer of some Yakuza games, is stepping down from Sega's board of directors, staying at Sega, but stepping down. Ninja Theory has halted development on Bleeding Edge, which is something we probably saw coming, but again.
Yep. Totally.
But in better news, Bloober Team has already recouped its production marketing costs for the medium.
Good,
So,
good.
yeah.
I it wasn't my favorite game, but
Some mixed signals
like,
there across the board, but
yeah, the passion and the effort with it, like I felt it, like they really wanted to do that game, so that's good to hear.
a lot of the sentiment I saw online, Huber, was not. It almost seemed like the same sentence. It was like, "Oh, Medium comes out tomorrow. I'm excited because I like Bloober." So it's like
Yeah.
I think, dude, regardless of what people think of the Medium, I think the Bloober emotional stock, I think, has stayed the same. Apparently, Nintendo canceled the live-action Netflix Zelda show because of a leak.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See friend code for more info.
Yeah,
right.
we talked a bit about that.
And we also talked about Amazon and Frame Trap, so if you want a little bit, dig a little bit deeper into that stuff. But yeah, there's part of me that's like, oh, I hate leaks, and then there's the other part that's like, oh wait, but that could have been really bad, so who knows? We'll see. Switch sales have surpassed 3DS sales. 79.87 million consoles have been sold worldwide. Still got a ways to go to beat that Wii. God of War got a PS5 performance update, 60 FPS, 4K, 260p.
4K is
2160p,
yeah.
but sorry. Thanks, Blood. Netflix, MGM, and Pinky Promise are all working on GameStop stock story adaptations.
It's hilarious.
There are books coming out. There's probably a children's book coming out.
Do you think
Netflix is
anytime
making
there's like a
movie.
viral meme or video, Jones, do you think people like buy the rights to it? I mean, like how many times has this
Sure.
happened that
yeah.
we don't hear about?
Oh my God.
Is that just constant?
What's like
Who do you think they
patents,
buy the
you know,
rights
like-
from?
Yeah.
There's nobody to
Who
write.
did they
That's the
buy?
thing. There's nobody to buy from. It's just
Yeah.
like start writing.
Start right.
I see different articles being like, "This is the guy that did it," and they're like, "They're different guys." Different articles. It's like,
Remember the two Fire Festival documentaries that came out at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exact same situation.
it's like He-Man. You put them both together and they become. Lady Dimitrescu is apparently 9 feet 6 inches tall officially from Resident Evil
yeah,
Village.
also known as a blood and a half.
Good to know. EA CEO Andrew Wilson hinted at a Battle Royale battlefield this holiday season. What took so long, Huber? It's like a no-brainer.
Well, remember they did Firestorm?
But it was
Yeah,
With,
yeah,
the
I remember
last
that one, the Ring of
Battlefield.
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be nice
but
to
just the Warzone equivalent for Battlefield apparently is happening. Apex Legends coming to Switch. Activision's being sued for copyright infringement over a Call of Duty character called Mara. She is called Mara in that, but apparently there's a artist that got a cosplayer together to design something for his own
Yeah.
project. And
It seemed like there was a case there, Jones. I peeked through some of that,
It's
and
tricky.
it was like,
It's not so cut and dry, isn't it? You can
Yeah.
see, like, some artists will be like, hey, this person plagiarized my work, and you can literally put the two drawings over each other and see it. It's just literally like all the steps they took, none of those were original. It was all just literally like, this looks great, let's do that. Let's get all of the things that they did.
Jones,
so-
just a quick clarification on the Battlefield thing. Did they
Sure.
ever say Battle Royale, or is it just what we're assuming from the description?
He hinted at a battle royale. He said
Yeah.
more players than you have ever seen in a battlefield, which
Yeah. Okay.
wink, wink.
Just
we'll
want to
see.
make sure that like they didn't actually say Battle Royale, but it
I
sounds
would-
like it. Yeah.
I would die, Jones, for like a 200 on 200 just conquest mode. Classic Battlefield, but with like 400 people.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Don't die on me now, Hubert. Valve was fined over $4 million over Steam controller patent infringement. Lost that one. For the first time since 2014, EA is making a college football game. College
back.
football. Not often I get to say
What a
college football
time
on
to
the
do
ECLS
that.
podcast.
I know.
But that was always... I missed those trailers, back at Game Trailers, man, when they stopped
Right.
making... The college,
Oh, it
NCAA
might be
football
because
2014 was the last one they
the
did.
Players, I think, can start making money or something off
They-
their likenesses.
Apparently,
Got
there
it.
will not be official players. I think it will just be
okay.
the teams, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
Lego, the rumors are true. Lego is making a new set based on Sonic the Hedgehog. And speaking of Sonic, he's getting a new 3D animated series on Netflix in 2022. As I mentioned before, a playable version of the canceled Xbox 360 GoldenEye remaster leaked online. Got to figure out how to make 64 emulation work. You might be getting a Slack message from me, Damiani, with some questions.
64? You mean
No, it's
sorry,
XBLA.
360. Oh, no.
Xbox 360?
Oh, no.
You need a Xenia for that.
How does it work? Okay. All right. Okay. So you know. All right. We'll be talking later. Speaking of leaking stuff, actually, this wasn't even leaked. They let them do it. There's now footage online of Mario Kart Koopa's Challenge, the ride in Japan. You can watch somebody stumble in their way
Not
through it.
avoiding that. Nope,
Yeah.
not watching that at all.
Spoilers.
Worst way to try
Spoilers.
it. There's the AR version and the non-AR version.
Nope.
The AR version like looks haunted. Like you're like, oh, look at the set in the background, and then like, like Toad just like, it is absolutely the worst way to experience it, and I watched all of it. It was great. We are all stoked that Star Wars is moving off into potentially more capable hands than Electronic Arts, but EA has made a cool $3 billion off Star Wars in their tenure exclusively. And shout out to my favorite Star Wars game, Galaxy of Heroes makes up $1 billion of that. The game I play every day has made $1 billion. Not for me.
Exactly why.
I have
You
not
play it
given
every
that
day.
game a penny.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
But that engagement, Jones.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So legit.
But I play against players that did. I know where that $1 billion went. There are some dark side teams I go up against, and I go, that's $1 billion right there. PlayStation took, speaking of billions, PlayStation took in $22.74 billion in 2020, the most of any platform holder in history.
Wow.
Yeah, there it is, the undisputed winner in terms of overall revenue from everything. So that's game sales, that's console sales, that's the beloved microtransactions. Part of that is Spider-Man Miles Morales has sold 4.1 million copies. Good for Spider-Man.
Very cool.
The scrappy little Spider-Man, doing well. And finally, just sneaking in right before we recorded this podcast, Akira Yamaoka, composer of Silent Hill fame, said that his next project, which will apparently potentially be announced this summer, is, quote, the one you're kind of hoping to hear about. What an evil, evil man for saying that.
Never give up. Never give up. It's coming.
Get our expectations.
It's coming.
What is he doing?
Even worst case scenario, even worst case that this one isn't, Silent Hill will return. We will seize the glory days once again. I will never give up. It's gonna happen.
Bless you, Hubert.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna play a Silent Hill game that is great.
It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
From North Star Ken, greetings allies, just a quick follow-up. Last November you addressed my concerns of FOMO regarding the PS5. I would like to report that I still do not have one, but the way I dealt with it was simple. I just started playing the games on last-gen consoles. For example, I recently got the PS4 version of Miles Morales, and I've been having a blast. Why wait? When it comes down to it, there really are not many exclusives I want that warrant a certain current-gen console to play anyway, aside from a few like Demon's Souls. I beat PS4 Hitman 3, and will replay it on PS5 whenever I find one, and plan to do the same with others. Love, respect, and thank you, North Star Ken.
Great.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Again,
Fantastic.
we saw on all our reports that, and we're congratulated by PlayStation for getting a PlayStation 5. Some people not as lucky.
Yeah.
From Samwise Game Geek, what licensed music used in a game has stuck with you the most? My favorite use of a licensed track has to be Don't Fear the Reaper from the original Prey. Every time I hear it, I'm back in the bar playing the intro of Prey.
Just Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, dude, of
The
course.
first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, that might be number one. 'cause
That's
right after
too
that.
good.
Yeah, right after that for me, a little bit more personal is the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, No Cigar, Melancholy as well. Love Melancholy. And then some cheeky picks. Claire de Lune, Evil Within, and Sonata, Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah.
If those count.
Isn't Fly Me to the Moon from
Yeah.
Bayonetta, and that's always been an issue getting that song or something? Or that's with Evangelion, getting that song in the ending.
Yeah,
credits, 'cause,
Evangelion's had it too.
Yeah.
I remember finding out that the Tricky song wasn't written for Tricky.
Oh, really? You know, Run
Oh,
DMC?
right.
It's like, oh, that's,
It's Run DMC.
that's just a
yeah.
song. I mean, that was named after a song, right? It's not like they named it Tricky and then we're like, oh, we'll put this song in there like that.
No, I think that could be. I mean, it's about tricks.
Yeah.
Second Prince of Persia game.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, no.
Iconic.
Okay,
Infamous.
I never ended up playing the game, but tell me if you guys had played it.
Warrior
At
Within.
E3, Shadow the Hedgehog, they had Let the Bodies Hit the Floor on a loop. Was that in the game at all?
Wait a second, is it?
All right, let's search for that.
Let's
Also,
go
shout
mind
out the most recent SSX, the PS3, like reboot of sorts.
I don't think so.
Had some fun tracks that I just every time I hear them, I'm like, oh yeah, I miss SSX. A lot of SSX tracks. I'm just like,
Yeah.
miss that franchise.
My brother loved that
need this
series.
now.
Jones loved it to death, man. I hope it comes back. Did you like Tricky the most or the other ones? I always forget.
Three
Three's
is
your favorite? Nice.
And that the PS3 one wasn't bad. Like I'm tempted to. I don't know if that came out like PS Plus or something one month, I'd be like, oh no, diving back in. From Happy Gaming, with the news that Google has shut down in-house Stadia game development, it seems only a matter of time until they eventually cut their losses and discontinue the hardware. I don't think so. I think they're going to hang on to that much longer than they possibly should. With that in mind, though, I thought it would be fun to look at the life of several other game consoles. In this game, I will provide 2 consoles, and it'll be up to the panel to decide which one had the longer lifespan from release to discontinuation. Extra points if the panelists can say how many years it took the console from original production to being discontinued. I call it Consolation Discontinued. Hope you enjoy. Love and respect, Brian from Happy Gaming. The PSP Go or PlayStation TV? What lasted longer?
I want to say the PlayStation TV.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
Go.
I have a PlayStation TV.
Congratulations. That's the winner. PlayStation TV
Nice.
was around for 2 years, or 27 months. PSP Go was only around for 1.5 years.
Yeah, that thing was weird.
Wasn't it the wasn't it like a flip up
Yes.
PSP or
Yeah.
something?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember
Yep.
that.
Yeah, well, that's
Uh,
the thing. Like
AMD
Astro's
was-
Playroom, like it reminded me of it. It's like, oh crap, yeah, that thing.
Yeah. God,
They had a lot of
I loved
it. Cool, like little PSP accessories in that game.
Dude,
that. I loved that room.
PSP was
that
a good handheld.
The Wii U or the Dreamcast? What lasted longer?
Oh, actual production.
Until it was
Discontinuation.
discontinued.
I would say probably the Dreamcast.
I'll say Dreamcast.
Oh wait,
Dreamcast was-
which are we
Dreamcast
longer or
was
shorter?
99.
Longer. What lasted longer?
Wii U would probably last
It's
longer.
probably Wii U, but I'm just gonna say Dreamcast
I mean,
because I
Wii U
love
was
it.
at least around for 4 years. Dreamcast was
Yeah.
99 till when?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be Wii
2001,
U.
2 or
Gotta be Wii U. 4 years. Dreamcast only around for 2. November
Yeah.
of 1998 to March of 2001.
hurts.
98. That's the so like when it production in Japan. So I knew there was gonna
Right.
be tricks. I knew there were gonna be tricks.
Actual production. The 3DO or the CDI?
Dear
Didn't have a
Lord, I knew
CDI,
this
but
was
I had a
Magnavox
3DO.
3DO versus Philips CDI.
One is double the other, so these are not close numbers.
Well, I know
CDI.
Philips CDI had games come out for a few years. Magnavox, God, I don't
I
remember.
want to say 3DO on this one.
I'm gonna go with.
I feel
I'm
like 3DO is around longer.
I'm gonna go with CDI.
Mike and Mike for the win. 6 years. 73 months for that
6
CDI.
years.
Only 3
Wow.
years for the 3DO. Yeah.
6
Yeah,
years.
there was like a 4-year gap between the first Nintendo one and the last Nintendo one that came out on CDI, like those terrible games. So I know it was always around for 3-4 years. I thought Magnavox like died pretty quickly.
6
Wow.
years of that CDI. Yeah, wild.
Same with Pippin.
Neither of these is 3 or 6 years. The N-Gage or Gizmondo?
Oh shoot.
Engage.
Gizmondo.
Engage was longer.
Oh, which is longer? Yeah,
Longer.
Engage. Sorry, Gizmondo was shorter.
Yeah.
Right?
N-Gage was for sure longer. Only 2 years, though. 2 years and 4 months. Gizmondo didn't even make it a year. March 2005 to February of 2006. The Virtual Boy or the Amiga CD32?
I know nothing about that Amiga, but the Virtual
Same.
Boy is definitely not it. So
Yeah.
the
damn.
Amiga has lasted longer.
I'll say Amiga as well.
Oh, Damiani's really he's
Tommy
going for
has
the
just
win
some
on this one.
Nintendo math in his head,
Yeah.
dude.
Well,
That's what's happening here.
they discontinued. Well, when they
How long
started
did they make Virtual
producing
Boys
it-
for?
Yeah.
Thinking Mario Tennis, release date.
I don't know enough.
What
about
else is
Amiga.
going on
I'll
in
go,
there, Damiani?
I'll go Virtual Boy. You know, I think it's really it.
Virtual Boy was around for 11 months. Amiga only 7.
Wow.
September of 93 to April of 94. So
I'll never forget. The only Virtual Boy was at the Blockbuster. The local Blockbuster had it.
Yeah,
right there,
we
and
rented
you could
it.
play it. And I just played Mario Tennis.
You
So
had to
I
get
thought it
a
was
parent
cool.
to give a credit card.
That's
It's
the
like,
packing game too. That's funny.
Yep.
finally, the Virtual Boy gets a win. Feels good. From Joseph, what's good, allies? If Sony were to release PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2 this year, who should be in the new roster? Which guest characters would you love to see? Also, remember, Fat Princess Mag and Starhawk. Could we see any of these beloved, still totally relevant first-party multiplayer titles come back?
Fat Princess.
Out of all of those.
So long.
Astrobot.
And Starhawk.
Starhawk,
dude,
for sure.
was
Starhawk
so
rules.
cool.
Yeah.
But who's
What was the other one? Starhawk.
and
Mag.
Mag?
And Mag, dude. I love those. Mag.
Fat Princess is the only one of those that
game.
would fit a fighting game.
Fat Princess would be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Astro,
Astro
for
would be
sure.
great. Aloy would be great.
Yep.
Yep.
Raged Filth.
Update
Dude.
Kratos to have Atreus with him.
Kratos, Atreus,
Anyone from
yeah.
Last of Us?
It'd be
Yeah.
rad to have
Yeah.
old
Ellie.
Kratos and new Kratos. Be fun to have them both.
Yeah.
Have those two go at
Days
each other.
Gone.
Yeah,
Oh,
where
yeah.
do you draw the line with Last of Us?
That'd be
Have
great
Booze
to play
Man
as a
come in. It's
clicker.
like a move. I need your help, Booze Man.
No, clicker. Play as a clicker, dude.
Oh, sure.
Clicker.
Cat from Gravity Rush.
Yeah.
Good one. Great one.
Very good.
Super good.
Damn.
They've added a lot of good characters since that game came out.
They got a game. I'm literally like walking the PSX floor. Like, where am I? What do I see?
got Jin Sakai
MLB the
last
show.
year.
Yeah.
Miles?
Oh yeah.
Miles Morales? Can you do Miles?
I don't know if they could, but yeah, if they could, man, there you go.
That'd be sick.
What money won't Marvel spend on Sony or vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. They got a game. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would love that. Such a good season free-to-play game just waiting to happen. You know, the next Destruction All-Stars, but PlayStation All-Stars too.
It's time for bets. Next week's bet. Tomorrow, Michael Damiani will be going online to find out about the announcement of the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, which he knows probably more about than he is leading us to believe. But I would like to know, what would that release date be? I will also accept no release date if they do not announce it. Michael Damiani, what's the release date going to be? He knows.
I just picked fall 2021.
Well, okay. Okay. It's
what
be
they
interesting
will
to
actually
score.
say.
Be interesting to score. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
because I think
Let's see
they'll
if it
literally
goes-
will say fall 2021. If they don't
Oh,
say
okay.
that, I don't win.
Got it. Huber. When's that coming out?
I looked back at the other expansions release dates, and they're all in June/July. So I'm going to say June 29th,
Mistake.
2021.
Such a mistake. You're already wrong, Huber. I'm so sorry.
It's there, I
Whoa.
swear. June 29th. June 29th.
I see it.
probably
I see it.
should have
Okay.
told you a little bit of info to
Right.
help you out.
It's
okay.
alright,
Well, no,
it's
you got
alright.
to get a nice spread there. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, you might be surprised.
It's public info too, so it's not insider info. They made it public that everything's on a 3-month delay,
Got it.
starting from last year
Blood, what's the
Got
date?
it.
because of COVID.
I was
I
very
was-
much in Huber's mindset, and so I said July 17th.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. I said no date. They're not going to do it.
Ooh, Jones.
That 3 month will translate to
Yeah.
they're like, we don't know. We'll let you know later. We don't want to iron that out right now.
But if
Yeah.
it's like
we don't want to write checks
September,
we can't cash.
does
I
that
don't
a
think it'll win.
Damiani fall or is that a no?
No. I mean, it's up to you, but I think they're going to literally say fall 2021 because one time they did say summer. For Stormblood, they said summer 2017 when they first revealed that at the NA event. Shadowbringers is the only one where they gave a date at the first event. But this is a unique situation because we're already past where they would have revealed the new expansion. It should have happened in November. So we're all the way when they would have revealed the date. So I actually think the date is very likely to be revealed. However, because it's a unique situation, there's probably a chance they leave it to a window just to be safe. Also because part of that team is working on 16, and I don't know how that's going to impact anything either.
It's always loaded when you bring a Final Fantasy bet to a Michael Damiani podcast. Last week's bet, Control Ultimate Edition launched Tuesday, February 4th this week. What position is it? No, Tuesday was February 2nd. Launched today, I guess. What position is it? Will it be in the Xbox Series X top games list? also known as the top paid games list, because obviously it is a top paid game.
Right.
Ian Hink bet 4, Michael Damiani bet 11, Daniel Bloodworth bet 8, and I bet 5. Again, this is Xbox deciding what a top game means. There's the newest games list that you can check, but there's also the top games list, which is a fun list to check, because I just checked it, and it's not even on here. It's nowhere. It's not anywhere.
We're all lost.
I got Hitman 3, I got Mortal Kombat XL, I got Wreckfest.
It's crazy because
I got
it's a
RE3,
PS Plus game right now.
I got Cuphead.
So I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, maybe. Just out of spite. If you go to newest games, it's on that list, but it is not on here at all.
I'm curious to check mine. I'm not gonna like overturn you or anything, but
Please overturn me. We are so gonna go with your. If it is
No
number
points.
1 on there, no. If it's number 5, between 5 and 8, we got the win. But as it stands right now on my Xbox Series X, Michael Damiani has the highest, aka the lowest bet,
Oh.
giving him the win. Which, unless Blood corrects me, brings our scores to Jovial Penguins 4. Vociferous Beavers 1.
nom 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 nom.
Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. I don't want to tease too much. I do like to tease. We had some meetings this week, folks. We got a 5th anniversary coming up. We have fun things, fun changes, fun updates, fun new shows, fun stuff coming to Easy Allies during 2021. 2021, I guarantee, is going to be a roller coaster year just like 2020 was. But we have been supported for almost 5 years now because of people obviously on YouTube and Twitch that watch and listen to all of our stuff, but primarily on patreon.com. So you can go to check out what is currently happening with our Patreon. You can go to check out any updates that happen to our Patreon in the coming weeks and months. And you can go there to primarily support us. It is not just you throwing money at us. It is you get various rewards for all of your various forms of membership. There are lots of ways that you can get engaged with the programming that we do. Tomorrow I'm going to be sitting down with Ben Moore. Today, if you get early access for this podcast, 2 days ago if you're listening to this on Sunday, for our community showcase tier, which is $10 and above, where people submit art and music and videos and all sorts of stuff, comments that we all go through and share the wonderful creativity of our community. We would be nowhere without our patrons, so thank you to all of them, especially our shout-out patrons. Bloodworth, how you doing?
I cannot find it. Shotgun Farmers is on there, but I cannot find Control.
Shotgun Farmers. What is that game?
What is? I need to know what that game is.
I do not know.
Need to know.
Farmers. Oh my God.
Holy
Do they
crap!
like grow shotguns, or are they like defending their farm with shotguns?
I think defending, yeah, maybe they grow bullets. You grow the
grow
shells.
bullets.
Online multiplayer shooter, Damiani.
$9.99.
Shotgun Farmers. Reloading isn't an option.
No.
Oh, it's like Rayman. The characters don't have arms or legs.
Nice. They shot him off with shotguns.
Dude, the reviews are overwhelmingly positive on Steam. 95%.
Wow.
Overwhelming. This is a hyped game.
And they are not sponsors
Dude.
for selling some Patreon, so this is legit. This
Holy
is us
crap.
just being excited. Maybe next week the bet will be on Shotgun Farmers. Let me just order that real quick. Get it downloading. Okay. Blood, you're going first. I'm going after you. Damiani, you're going after me for these shout-outs. And Huber, you are going last. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Fanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Dougie B, Stephen Thomason, and Nick.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
All right. That's a podcast. Michael Damiani. You win! You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off and then go play Shotgun Farmers.
Shotgun Farmers. Nice. You should check out the newest episode of Friend Code, because we sit down with Brad and Huber and talk about Resident Evil 4. Huber's got some RE4 stories I think you need to hear, with some visual aids as well that make the story worth the wait if you haven't heard these before. very enlightening, to say the least. Good stuff. Some lore theories as well about the Resident Evil universe there. Final word. Amazon. So long, Bezos. And until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Remember the like wobbly Mako? Just like blue.
Making games is hard, huh?